Since it was announced that Liam Payne's toxicology reports indicated that he had drugs in his blood, many people have focused on criticizing him for his choices, rather than trying to understand why someone like Liam, who had so much to lose, would turn to such things and live a reckless life. He had very loving parents who cherished him as their last-born and only son. Surely he knew how much they loved him and how much hurt they would feel if he were to leave this world.
He's the only fella in the family. He's gone.
He also had two loving older sisters who adored him as their baby brother. Above all, he had a son, a 7-year-old boy who was his pride and joy, and whom he revealed had inspired him to improve his life. Liam was surrounded by love, yet he still faced inner demons that pushed him down a dark path. After all, he was human, just like you and me. Some people are strong and keep fighting, while others, unfortunately, aren't able to do so. If you have ever dealt with mental health issues, you should have some sympathy for Liam and his family instead of going online to post distasteful comments. He was made of flesh and blood like the rest of us. Looking at Liam's life, it's not hard to see how he could have developed mental health struggles. He came from an ordinary working-class family, and almost overnight, he was thrust into the biggest boy band of the time. Transitioning from obscurity to global fame has to be disorienting, especially at such a young age. He was only 17 when he entered a world he had no understanding of, forced to leave behind a normal teenage life for one filled with constant scrutiny, where he was expected to behave like an adult while being thrust into the spotlight and objectified by fans. That sudden loss of connection with reality, combined with the strict rules imposed on him and his bandmates, took a toll on his mental health. They were treated more like money-making objects than real people. They were under tight control, with their movements restricted, often locked in hotel rooms, unable to step outside. As Niall once said, "Why wouldn't you let us go out? We just want to walk around." Even their appearance was micromanaged, with each member assigned a specific style they weren't allowed to change. Liam, for instance, wasn't permitted to wear stripes because they were reserved for Louis. And growing a beard was forbidden because it would make them appear too mature for their young fan base. Worse yet, they were not allowed to date publicly, as having girlfriends would ruin the fantasy for their young, mostly female audience and hurt the label's profits. They were also forced into assigned personalities, which limited their ability to be themselves. Liam was labelled as the daddy, or leader of the group, which put an immense amount of pressure on his shoulders.
Have a fun flight home, you. I'll try, but I miss you too much, Liam.
As a teenager, he was made to feel responsible for everything, and over time, he developed a savior complex. If something went wrong, he would blame himself. This role also contributed to fans seeing him as boring, while they cheered on the more carefree band members, which chipped away at his self-esteem. Another troubling aspect of their lives was the sexualization and grooming they experienced.
In other words, baby, kiss me.
It wasn't just young fans lusting after them, but also older women, including some staff members. In 2020, Lou Teasdale revealed that some staff members had inappropriate relationships with the boys, despite it being against the rules. Liam and Harry both dated women much older than themselves during this vulnerable time, highlighting the fact that these young boys didn't know any better, and the older women took advantage of that. On top of all this, they weren't allowed to be themselves or say what was on their minds. Media interviews were tightly scripted.
100% us, there's no lies, there's no secrets within the band or any BS like that.
Robbing them of the chance to speak authentically. Liam even hinted at this control in one of his songs, saying, "I used to be in 1D, now I'm free." Their grueling work schedule exacerbated the strain. In just 5 years, they released 5 albums and went on 4 tours, leaving them no time to rest. Zayn once revealed that they barely had time to eat, and their health was often compromised for the sake of their work. The pressure to keep the money flowing took precedence over their well-being, and over time, this destroyed them mentally.
I think I'd hang out with some friends.
Yeah, what
From
kind
back
of
home.
friends, Liam?
I haven't got any friends. Imaginary friends.
Liam, who had only known life with his bandmates, took the split especially hard. As the leader, he was deeply invested in keeping the group together, and when that was no longer possible, it shattered him. He went from having 4 brothers who shared his journey to being alone, watching some of them go on to have successful solo careers while he struggled to find his footing. This isolation and comparison made coping even harder. In his later years, he tried to make amends, showing support for his former bandmates, attending concerts, and reconnecting with some of them. But by then, fans were fixated on his past comments, and his attempts at reconciliation were often misinterpreted as attention-seeking. This added to his pain, along with the ongoing online criticism. Despite everything, Liam did many good things. He was generous, donated to charity, rescued animals, and was a loving father to his son. Yet the demons he faced in his personal life continued to fight against the love he tried to share with the world. We should all remember to have grace and be kind to people. Just because someone is famous and has wealth doesn't mean they are immune to struggles or are truly happy. Living a life where people love you for what you have, not who you are, can be lonely. Mental illness is real and should be taken seriously. Instead of judging people, ask why they make certain choices and get to the root of the problem. Maybe then we can truly help. We continue to send our condolences to his loved ones and pray for his soul to rest in eternal peace.